Hi. So I wanted to work a little bit on this kind of like system that's going on with that you're seeing in front of me. This is not part of the system. This is the system, but I have to talk about this to give you some context. So you'll see a lot of index cards on a lot of index card boxes on my desk right now. There are two boxes that I will be talking about in the August in my journals video. So stay tuned for that. And if this comes out after the fact, I'll leave it linked up above. But essentially I have, this is all like stock, so don't even worry about that for now. I decided that I'm going to put my inks and pens into an index card catalog. Now, whenever I think about index cards, I think about Robbie over at the Sunshine Archives. I had forgotten how lovely index cards were and how cool and multifaceted they were, and now I have two systems that use index cards, which is very, very interesting. This one I'm thinking is going to be for cataloging. Now, one of the things I realized while this system was taking place, or while I was trying to build out this system, is how difficult it is for uh why if this is such a cool system do more people not have it. And it's because it's difficult to find index cards that are fountain pen friendly. So i I placed an order on Jet Pens for a few different size note cards of these are the Kikuyo um information cards. I have the 4x6 size, and these aren't 100% 4x6. 4x6, yeah. And then this is the 3x5 card. Again, not 100% 3x5, but equivalent. And these are the ones that I'm using in my planning system. So I am finding a use for them, and I'm going to find a use for these as well. But I originally purchased them thinking that they were fountain pen friendly, and they're not the friendliest. Let me go ahead and get you my card that I had as a test. So this is the 3x5 card of the Kikuyo one, and you can kind of see here that they're like, when you're writing, it's fine. There is some feathering, and there's a lot of like granulation on this swatch and lots of bleeding. So while I do write on these with fountain pen, I would not use it as a swatch card, which is kind of like the point of this system for me. So after I realized that didn't work, I did a little bit more digging, and on Atlas Stationers, I found that they were selling ex Comtip index cards. So these Exacompta index cards, which funnily enough, I was watching a video of Robbie's and they mentioned this. And this is Clairefontaine paper. So it is supposedly fountain pen friendly. And so, and these are also 3x5, or the equivalent of 3x5, and it's a 5x5 grid. So I got those, which is the one that you see here, and it's like on a purple-ish grid. You can kind of tell. And I tested it out. And so here is that kind of like test. So I tested out Diamine Raven, and then this is a combination of Lullaby and Lullaby from Diamine and Robert Oster's Cindy Lavender, and then this is Opera Rose. These are just like different colors that I had in my pens. Right now, as I'm recording this, I only have 2 pens left, 3 pens left, yeah, with ink in them. Everything else has been written dry, which is really, really exciting. So I just kind of like leaked this out, and then I still had some in my TWSBI. So those were that, and then this is the Yamabuki no Iro, I believe. I could be getting that wrong. Check out my currently inked for July to get the name of that. But I did this swatch, and it is pretty good. I am pleased with the swatch, and it did bleed a little bit, but not too much. Now, something to keep in mind is with me in my particular system, on the one side, I'm going to do a small swatch just to kind of have the color represented. But really what I'm going to be doing is pasting in the back different little swatch papers, depending on the different papers that I have that I'm able to swatch on. So like, for example, I have MD paper and I have Tomoe River paper that I would like to use this for. So the back, if it does end up bleeding a little bit like this, I'm kind of okay with that because I'm going to be gluing on top of it anyways. So I think that that's the system that I'm going to be using right now. But before I even got to this, I had considered doing a change in my system by putting it in an A5 rings, which is why this is here. And I just wanted to show you that, to show you another idea of something that you can do with this kind of system. So I was feeling an itch for making it bigger. I had a system in a personal size rings, which is what you see here, right? Like I had these personal sized swatches and I liked them, but I really wanted something bigger, which is interesting because I'm going into an index card, which is arguably smaller. However, I did that and I made these little templates, and these are on Tomoe River paper, loose leaf Tomoe River paper. I made these little templates and I just glued on the paper that I was using with the personal size. I just cut it up and glued it onto the page. And then this one was done directly on the Tomoe River paper. This is Opera Rose. Look at how pretty that swatch is. And then the reason why I decided, no, this actually doesn't work was because I started gluing it haphazardly. And I realized I think the only way that this would work is if I was just using it one page instead of it back and forth, because I realized I was doing it haphazardly, not alphabetically, not by brand. At one point, I just kind of like tipped it in instead of gluing the full page. And so there wasn't going to be any sort of sorting. And for this particular system that I'm wanting, I do want some sorting to be available to me, because really, if I'm looking for just a catalog that is not sortable, or that's just like as I receive colors, I already have that available to me in the Hobonichi weeks, and I quite like this format for that kind of cataloging. What I'm looking for in either this system or now in the English cards, which is what I'm going to be doing, is more of a searchable catalog. By either brand name or by color name. I haven't 100% decided that just yet, but basically just something that I can kind of move around and resort as I please, that has a place for me to put all of these things, which is the ink name and brand, if I have a bottle or a sample, and the date that I acquired said thing, who gave it to me or where I acquired it from, and then the different ink properties, and then having a space for a log. Now, I don't know if I'll have a space for a log. Um, I'll have to see. I haven't 100% decided, but that would probably be on the back side. So that's another option that I have is, and this is not the right card, but just as an example, is have the front side be where I have the ink and the different properties that I want to kind of keep track of, and then on the back have the log itself. And so the ink log would kind of be something similar to what I have. Let's see. So like right here, for example, you can see that I had already started logging it. So basically it would be just the date when I ink a pen. And then also if I end up, selling it, or if I get a bottle, then I would also, so like, for example, let's say I had you can see here the ink log as well. If I had a sample and then I decided to get a bottle, then I would log when that happened. So kind of like that. And then on the same vein, I wanted to have cards for the actual pens. And so this is kind of like the little template that I created on top of some of Petite Bloom's pages, printable designs. So it was the fountain pen, the original pen nib that I had on it. So like, for example, with the Kaveco Sport, I originally purchased that with an extra fine nib, and right now it's on a broad nib. So what I decided after I printed this, I kind of like realized, oh, I actually want to put some other things, which is where the additional stuff is here. So I would add original nib, acquired date, acquired by, again, who I got it from or where I purchased it from, and then any additional nibs that I owned that fit the pen. And then in the same vein, I would have an ink log for that pen. Now the ink log is something that I'm not 100% tied to. Maybe logging things and kind of that sort of deal is something I could do outside of the catalog, but that's kind of like what I have in mind. And so I just wanted to touch base with you guys and kind of share that because it's really exciting and I kind of want to do that now. So I'm going to get that done, and then at some point when I have something to update you on, I will, whether that's today or in the future, but I will be posting this video once I have more to share and the system is kind of in place. So if you're watching this now, that means that it's pretty much done. But yeah, I'll check in with you once I have a bit more progress made. Okay, y'all. So I want to show you guys the ups and the downs, right? Not everything you try out is going to work out, and that's fine. That's why you maybe don't invest in something so quickly before trying it out, but I want to show you the difference. So these are the Clairefontaine Exacompta, and you can see it's also got this like graininess to it. It's not great. It didn't bleed this time around, which is good, but it definitely is not showing the ink properties the way that I would like versus this little test I did on the Tomoe River paper. Like, look at how pretty that is. And there is just some slight kind of like warping on the other side. Nothing too crazy. But if I keep it to a page per ink, I think that that would be fine. I think ultimately what that means is that I'm not going to go forth with, at least not this initial idea or concept when it comes to fountain pen index system. I do think that there is other ways of doing this with, because the thing is that for me it wasn't just a matter of having swatch cards and then that's it. I wanted kind of to have a bit more information, and I feel like swatch cards don't necessarily, I don't know, I could be wrong. I haven't maybe done as much research as I would as I could, but it feels to me that maybe swatch cards just don't have the space or something to be able to house all of the properties that I'm looking for. So that's a bit of a bummer, but it's okay. You live and you learn. At the end of the day, I am using an index card system for planning, so it's not like the index cards will go to waste. Um, and then I just have to, I ideate a little bit longer. But I just wanted to share with you guys that um, it was not successful. It was not successful. I'm not really liking that, and that's fine. It is what it is. Um, Onto the drawing board and onto the next option. Hey love, so it has been a few weeks since I recorded that last part of the video, and I did want to show you, I left it a little bit abruptly. So I wanted to just jump in and kind of show you what I ended up doing instead for myself for my ink system rather than the index cards. I did briefly go through this in my September currently inked video, so do check that out if you haven't watched it yet. But like I said, I didn't want this video to end as abruptly as it did. So essentially, I am using an Ashford insert that I purchased from Ashford directly and then came in through international world shipping. And then I am using this little cover with some happy mail that or stationery that I received from one of my pen pals, Riley. And then over here we have our first section, which is meant to have the pen log. And the pen log basically has the information on the pen, which is what fountain pen it is, if there's a specific colorway or a name to the pen, the origin story, which would be where I got it from, if that was from someone who I purchased it off of, or if it was gifted, the original nib that it came with, and then I have a section for additional nibs. Then the ink log itself will hold when when I've inked it in a new color and the color itself. And so here I can see all of the different colors that each pen has been inked with. And there is some lapses because I wasn't keeping up with this for the last couple of months, but I intend to keep up with it moving forward. And then there's a few different ones. So all of the pens are in here. I haven't organized it in any particular way. I think I might organize it alphabetically because I don't have really that many pens. And then these are the new ones that I made on just blank Tomoe River paper with the thing that I have over there. What's it called? The typewriter. The typewriter. So originally I had printed them out. Had I printed them out or I just wrote them in? I just wrote them in, but I decided to use my typewriter for it. So the first section is the pens, and then the next section is the inks. And I have it separated in between. So I have one section for inks that I have in my possession and inks that I no longer have in my possession. I do think I want to organize it a little bit differently in the future, but for now, this is what it looks like. And so it has all the pens, or rather, all of the inks. These are meant to be ink logs. And so it has the name of the ink and the brand. It has, let's zoom in a little bit more. It has the info section, which is whether I have a bottle or a sample. The origin story, again, is from who I bought it from or if it was gifted. And then any ink properties that it has. In this case, Dominant Industries Seaweed is a shading and a chroma shading ink. And then I also have a log down here which shows which pen it was linked to. And so I can see the same information in a different view, this time by color or ink instead of by pen. And so I have one for all of the colors that I inked up in September, which is when I first started this particular type of project. And I have a few of them that I had from when I first set up the log earlier on in the year, I believe for the April um, currently inked. I do think it was the April one, just based off of what I have on some of these older pens. You see here April. So that's why I think it was the April currently inked. And yeah, I really like it. It's nothing super tidy, or I made a lot of mistakes essentially is what I'm trying to say when I was setting these up in terms of like when it's what color and the spacing. You can see the spacing here is crazy. But I'm okay with that. No biggie. And so yeah, those are the colors that I currently own. That I've created swatches for. Essentially what I'm gonna do is every single time I do my currently inked, I'll create swatches for new colors and eventually I'll be able to finish. And then this other section is for samples that have made it into my collection that I no longer have. So I have either passed them on or finished them. So this is Lamy Blue. I did swatch this before I set up this little section, so I'll have to fill it in with another color, which is fine. Diamond Autumn Oak, Wearing Golden Crown. This color, I hate touching it because the mica, I don't know if it's considered mica as well, but I mean it's mica fines, but the little, it's not glitter. It's like I don't know. Anyways, every single time I touch it, it gets on my fingers. And then these are more recent ones that I gifted for the giveaway winner, Chrissy. So Lamy Tourmaline, Noodlers, Blue Nose Bear, and Noodler's Black Swan and Australian Roses. She really liked these colors. So basically that's the system. In Spanish, there's this saying, tanto nadar para morir en la orilla, which literally translates to so much swimming to die at the shore. And I feel like that with this because I had started in a personal rings and then I went into an A5 and then I tried to do index cards and then I came back to the personal rings. So much swimming just to end up in the same place. But I feel like that's, the name of the game when it comes to experimentation. I still feel like I got something out of it. I know what works, what doesn't. I know why some people don't use so many people don't use index cards. It's because it's so complicated. But yeah, I just wanted to end the video on a lighter note. It's important to me to show you guys that not everything is a successful experimentation, but just because it was quote unquote a failing experiment doesn't make it any less valuable. It's all data, it's all something that you can use to later inform future decisions that you make within your systems. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. If you've made it this far, I would love to know what your ink log system is or pen log system is if you have one. I know quite a lot of people have spreadsheets, which is something that I will be creating at some point as well. Actually, I think I have something along the lines of that already in the back burner. I'll check because I think I forgot about that. But let me know if you made it this far, what you use for your ink catalogs, if you will. And if you haven't watched the September currently inked, then please go ahead and check that out. I will leave it linked for you right here. Yeah, so check that video out if you haven't yet. Thank you so much for watching. As usual, I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.